In 1900, there was no town in the area of what is now called Selah. It was simply a dusty crossroad. The children attended rural schools, and many of them spoke other languages. In 1905, Frank Charbonneau built the first store, a dry goods store which stood in the middle of what is now Natchez Avenue. Our school is built on what once was a hop yard, and Indians camped around it at one time. Our little community of Selah has a history rich in pioneer struggles and disappointments. This is a story of just a few of those historic sites.
We are now standing in front of the only original town building left in Selah, what is now the home of the Selah Natchez Irrigation Company, was once the Selah Bank.
Seeking to rebuild the town after the fire in 1908, C.S. Dunberg was talked into purchasing a lot number 8 for a bank. In 1910, that bank was built. It was named Selah State Bank. The bank was constructed of local stone. The bank was Elmer Dallin. The bank's first robbery was committed while Elmer was on duty. 2 men came in and pulled a gun on Elmer, then robbed the bank safe, then threw Elmer into the empty safe and got away with money.
The first law officer in Selah was Ernie Buckley. One night he heard a noise by a nearby ditch and called out, "Who's there? Why are you out so late?" He heard 3 shots. 1 hit him in the chest, and 2 hit him in the belly. Lucky for him, a man named Ivor King found him and rushed him to the hospital in his buggy. Ernie died the next day, but not before Ernie had told what had happened. The first store in Selah was built in 1905 by a man named Frank Charbonneau. He built his store near what is presently Pingree Motors and right in the middle of what is now Natchez Avenue. Later, Charbonneau sold his store to a Swede by the name of Old P. Anchor, who placed a large anchor on the side of his store.
Have you ever been on the Selah overpass in a car at 5 in the afternoon? Can you imagine being a pioneer traveling over this same pass at 5 in a wagon? We are standing at the site of Selah Gap, where 7 roads have been built since the 1900s.
According to the legend, the Selah Gap was made by Spitty Eye the Coyote, an Indian animal god, and was a natural entrance to the Selah Valley. Early settlers had to forage the Natchez and Yakima rivers.
In 1855, 6 miners went to Yakima taking a shortcut. A group of Indian warriors on horseback, led by a young war chief named Qual Chan, killed these 6 miners because they were on their land. These 6 miners on horseback were from Fort Dalles in Oregon, seeking a shortcut route to the distant gold mines in British Columbia, Canada.
White men were warned to stay out of the Yakima lands. They thought they could travel through, which was a sad mistake.
This incident was a major factor in the starting of the Bloody Yakima War of 1855 through 1856. Many of the early pioneers lost their lives trying to cross the Yakima River.
There was a ferry system that carried people, pigs, cats, dry goods. It was a toll fare. They charged a certain set amount for whatever was transported by the ferry.
The present road through the Selah Gap is built by man. Through the years, each time a road was completed, the road builders felt this would be the last expansion.
In the fall of 1983, a meeting was held to discuss the further expansion of the Selah Gap overpass.
We're here at the site of what once was the Hippodrome. It is located in the Selah Gap by the Yakima River. It once was green grass and cottonwood groves.
In the mid-1910s, this area was divided by a new road from North Yakima. This region was to replace Saracen Grove, which was further up the river, as a place for picnicking and swimming. On hot summer days, it wasn't unusual for people to pay a fee for swimming.
In 1933, Art Fulbright built a large dance pavilion called the Hippodrome. The Hippodrome was renamed Playland in 1938.
In 1943, there was a man named Bob Paradis who bought Playland and made a lot of improvement in it. Because of this improvement, Playland became the most famous dance hall in Central Washington.
During those years, some famous bands were hired here to play here. Some of those bands were Lawrence Welk, Louis Armstrong, and the Dorsey Brothers.
Playland was closed because in 1951 a new law passed allowing drinking in nightclubs and hotels with dance floors. Bob closed Playland in 1958, ending the dance hall era in Selah Valley.
This cave is located on the side of a hill in the Selah Gap. The history of this cave goes back to 1919. In that year, about 70 prisoners from the Walla Walla State Penitentiary were brought to this cave. Their work was to dig and crush rock from the cave, which was later used to make many of Selah's roads.
Each morning, the prisoners were marched from a compound north of the cave by armed guards. They would work the rock crushers and dig rock from the cave. Then the rock would be sorted according to size and loaded into hopper cars. These cars transported the crushed rock down the hill to the railroad tracks.
After about a 10-hour day, the prisoners would be marched back to the compound for the night. The next morning, they would repeat the same procedure as the day before. Even though the workers were convicts and the work was dangerous, there are no deaths. It was quite appropriate that this cave be called Convict's Cave. We're here at the Pioneer Cemetery located by the Harrison Bridge. Thanks to Mr. Georges Taylor, who during his time set aside this land for a burial place for the dead. Mr. Taylor died after a few months after he gave his gift to the people of Selah. About 100 years ago, there was a lot of hardship and danger and also a lot of deaths, so the town was in need of a cemetery. First cemetery was at the edge of the Gallister homestead. These acres, donated by George Taylor, was the only burial site for many years. People sometimes had to make wooden coffins and markers. In 1886, a railroad ran through most of the small area. Some reports say that some bodies were moved to Yakima Valley. Most of the names of people who are buried here have been forgotten, but thanks to Mr. Fraykorth, here's a short list of names he remembered from over the past years. Bostrom, Brooke, Baker, Jones, Crawford, Monroe, Husted, Hines, Geets, Moore, Taylor, and Michaels.
Recently, 2 teenagers tried to dig up a grave, but a man that lives near their cemetery saw them and reported it. Some people feel that we, the people of Selah, should clean up the Pioneer Cemetery.
We're standing in front of the home of Mr. Bob Lintz, our local Selah historian, and as a result of his speaking with our class, we were able to develop this project into what we have just completed. Mr. Lintz, how do you feel about helping our class?
Well, it's most exciting and interesting, and your class is 5th grade level, and at the 5th grade level is when they start learning about history, and I think it's very important that they know about local history. And I'm very thankful that I had a part in teaching your 5th grade class something about things that happened years ago.